There are thousands of options to consider when you're planning your retirement, but today we're joined by Dylan Bond. He's the owner of Bond Financial Services, and we're going to sift through all the options, right?
That's right.
It's so difficult because people don't want to think about their finance. They want to be able to go out, have fun, and not think about it, but it's imperative that we do.
Yeah, there's been studies that show that throughout the course of our lives, people spend more time planning 2-week vacations than they do their retirement.
And your retirement can be, a 200-week vacation.
Exactly. I mean, if you're a married couple at 65 right now, you have to plan for one of you to live till 90 to 95 years old.
That's 25, 30 years without getting paid at all.
Without getting a paycheck. So again, you have to be very, very specific on the tools that you choose to build your retirement income plan.
It seems like these days, though, and maybe it's becoming exponentially more, but there are so many avenues that you can go down and different pockets of money that you need to have a sound retirement.
Yeah, the good thing about it is the evolution of financial services, even over the last 10 years, has come a long way. There are so many other options out there, although many people still are using old school approaches, putting half their money in the bond market and half their money in the stock market and hoping that that balances off, and over time their money will grow at a reasonable rate of return. I think that the first and foremost, as you get closer to retirement and then when you are retired, you have to be aware of the fact that you no longer have time to wait out what could be 5 to 10 years worth of market comebacks if the market ever does drop like it does in 2008.
And you always help people understand that principle. It's the rule of 100, but basically it states that when you're young, you have all the risk in the world.
Right.
You can afford to take risk, but as you get older, you need to take less and less risk.
Yeah, when you're young, there's two things different. You have less money, and you have more time. When you're older, you have more money.
Hopefully,
and you have less time. So you really can't afford to take all of your money and put it into the stock market or into the bond market. You have to have a diversification, but not only throughout the different areas of the stock market, like small cap, mid cap, large cap. I think you have to look outside the box and think more like an institution would, or an endowment fund, and not only look at stocks and bonds, but also look at other asset classes as well to minimize volatility and still have the potential for a reasonable rate of return over time.
That's the thing, though. There's always going to be risk no matter what you do. It's different kinds of risks or different qualifications of them, but no matter what you pick, there's always going to be a little bit of risk and trepidation.
Yeah, I mean, getting out of bed in the morning involves some amount of risk.
Exactly.
So there is always going to be risk. The key is, first and foremost, when you retire, the number one thing that you need to think about is creating an income that you can't outlive, that's going to pay your baseline expenses. Now, you have to be careful because a lot of people, when they're thinking about how much they need to make a year, they're thinking about going on vacation. They're thinking about gifting to the grandkids. They're thinking about buying a new car every so often. That, in my opinion, is putting too much stress on how much income you need, and it could create more income taxes than you need to pay over the long run. So what I recommend people do is first think about what does it cost to pay the car insurance, to buy the groceries, to pay the cable bill, to pay the gas bill, the electric bill, the basic expenses that you know you're going to have going forward. And then create a plan to cover those and create a secondary plan to cover the things you want to do and have access to that money when you need it. So if you're not using it, you're not generating any more income taxes than you need to.
It's a great point, Dylan, because a lot of people, when they budget, they budget for the week or with their bills, you just say, this is the amount of money I have and these are the things that I want to do. But people don't often budget for retirement and budget for, their end of life. And that's where you come in. You
Right.
can really help people with the plans that aren't as fun to make.
Yeah, it starts with a conversation. Like I always say, the first meeting is a get-to-know-you meeting. What I'm trying to do is understand who you are, where you are in life, what you have, what you've accumulated up to this point, and what your vision is going forward. And then from there, once I know enough about you, I can put myself in your shoes, and knowing what I know from being in the business for the last almost 20 years now, I can put myself in your shoes and say, okay, what would I do if I were you?
It's difficult, and you can never make guarantees going forward, but a lot of these ads that you see these days or people that you talk to, their guarantees come along with certain things. What's your stance on those guarantees?
There are accounts that are guaranteed. Bank accounts, savings accounts, CD accounts are guaranteed and FDIC insured. Fixed annuities with insurance carriers are guaranteed and insured. What you need to understand is that there are time commitments, there are potential early withdrawal penalties or surrender charges. And the other thing to understand is sometimes you want to hear more than is being said to you. And what I mean by that is one of the most common misunderstood benefits out there is what's called the guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit that's available on fixed and variable annuities. And what it basically says is you're guaranteed 6%. Whether you make or lose in the stock market, and this would be more specific to a variable annuity. But you need to be aware of that is not a 6% guarantee that you can walk away and take that money and use for whatever you want to. That's a secondary value that you're paying a fee on to generate a minimum of 6% a year or 5% a year, whatever the contract terms are.
There's so much fine print.
A lot of fine print, but the fact of the matter is sometimes you have to wait 10 years before you use it, and then you have to take it out over the rest of your life. So again, while that's going on, you're paying fees and expenses that you might not understand and taking a lot of market risk with your cash value. So some people like that, but I think a lot of people own those types of accounts that don't really understand how they work.
Well, that's where you come in with the information, and if people don't get the information every Wednesday, they can get it at one of your seminars.
Yep.
Dylan, it's a pleasure talking to you today. Thanks so much for stopping by.
Here.
So are you prepared to live 30 years without a paycheck? Well, you can let Dylan and his staff help you answer that very important question by visiting bondfinancialservices.net or giving them a call, 413-754-4747.